All right. Leading us in the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the four-way test is going to be our own Fred Oders. Fred can be found working at Crowder Brothers, or maybe better stated, Fred can be found at Crowder Brothers. He is our Sergeant at Arms, and Fred is approximately, and I apologize if I get this wrong because I'm not good at math, but he's approximately a 39-year Rotarian. Fred, can you lead us in the invocation, please?
I can. Thank you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks this day for the many blessings that you've shared with us. We especially thank you for the blessing of good health and safety that you grant us. We are thankful also for this Rotary Club and all that it does and its many members' commitment to those less fortunate. We ask that you continue to guide us that we can serve our community and our world in a better way. Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Fred, thank you, sir. Now to introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians is our own Trey Harden. Trey, as I mentioned before, he's the attorney at Harden Eldridge Law Group. He's our board secretary, and he's about a 2.5-year Rotarian. So, Trey, would you take over the guests, please?
I would, and I'd like to welcome everyone today. And if we have any guests and hosts that could introduce them.
Well, this is Brock Self, and Deborah Boynton is my guest today. She did go through Rotary information, so we're on our way.
Likewise, Trey, this is Don Selvage. For the last time, I am honored to introduce Captain Jeremy Maccabee, the new commanding officer of Salvation Army, who also went through Rotary information today.
And do we have any other guests or visiting Rotarians?
Hi, I'm a visiting Rotarian. I'm Tina Whitty. I'm visiting from the Rotary Club of Lakeland South.
Hi, Tina. Welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other guests or visiting Rotarians?
Yeah, I'm McCall from the Rotary Club of Wallasey in England, and a fairly frequent visitor to your club.
And welcome, John. Anyone else? Any other visiting Rotarians or guests? Okay, well, welcome everyone.
All right, thank you, Trey. Welcome, everyone. Promises to be a great meeting today. So let's move on to Happy Dollars. Is there anybody that wants to share something going on in their life for Happy Dollars today?
I have a happy dollar.
Okay.
Today is my birthday.
Yay!
So I made my contribution to the Rotary Foundation. I always combine up. My dad's birthday is Thursday, so I combine his age and my age and make that my foundation donation for my birthday each year.
Happy birthday, Amanda. Thank you. Anybody else?
This is Jack. I have a happy dollar. I just want to congratulate all the members of Leadership Lakeland Class 37 that graduated last week. Our club had a ton of people, and there's so many I had to write them down. So congratulations to Kim Brunson, Par Sahota, Hans Lehman, Andrew Ross, Brandon Clark, Gwinnell Jarvis, Marge Connolly, Karen Moore, and Michelle Ledford's husband, Steve. And a big congratulations to Chuck, who was the class chair this year, and to Sarah Breed for putting on a fantastic job again this year.
Wow, that's a big group. Congratulations, everyone.
We are replete with leaders.
We have 3 or 4. Dr. Mel, I think you were talking about that earlier. Can you call out all the nominees for this year?
Okay. I don't know if I'll get them all. I hope so. I have Gwen Allen, Robert. Might have said this right. How do I say your last name, Robert?
Borer.
Yes, and we have Heidi. Heidi as your last name, and then oh goodness, Theodore. No, Teddy. What do we call you? Teddy? What is it? Teddy? Gwen, help me.
T-Buddy.
T-Buddy. T-Buddy. We have T-Buddy is also there, and I think that's it. Who did I miss? Anyone?
I don't think so.
Yourself.
Good. Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm good there. I think that's it. So we're very excited. Class 38, congratulations, Class 37.
Yeah. Our club always has a lot of people in leadership elected, and we're proud of all of you. So, but, you know, Class 32 was the best class ever. Just going to throw that out there. All right. So moving on to announcements. Jack Lohman has decided he wanted to take over the microphone for today. So, Jack, what you got?
A couple quick announcements. One, our Rotary Golf Tournament is on again for this year. It's going to be a little different than it has been in the last couple, as Mercedes-Benz decided not to do the dealer championship this year because of, you'll never guess why. But anyway, we are going to have a good old-fashioned four-man scramble golf tournament out at Eagle Brook, October 23rd. All of the registration and sponsorship information is on the website. So if you go to lakelandrotary.org, you'll see in the top right corner that there are tabs for registering, for sponsorship, and for paying for it. So please check that out. We'd love to have a four-person team from the club or two or three in there. It's going to be fun. We've got a great grand prize. The winning team goes 2 days and 2 nights and 2 rounds of golf at Mission Inn golf course up in Howey in the Hills, which is a fantastic facility. So please check that out. My other announcement is for the upcoming happy hour, which will be at 1916, which is the bar there at Cleveland Heights. It will be a week from this Thursday, so August 27th at 5:30. Lots of room. You probably saw my email today, but please, we hope you can come, join. It's a great chance to catch up. There's plenty of room to spread out, so don't feel like you're going to be, on top of each other, and you can socially distance and still catch up with friends. Thanks.
And Joel, if I could add in, this is Trey, just about the golf tournament too, that we are looking for donations of liquor or wine or beer for our basket of cheer that we'll be raffling off. So that's always been a big selling point for the golf tournament, and people enjoy winning that. So if we could get donations from club members, and I'm happy to either come pick them up, or if you bring them by my office, or however you want to get them to us. So just let me know.
Can we just drive by Jack's house and fling them into the front yard?
That would work too.
All right. I'm sure his
put them on the existing pile.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks, y'all. Did you mention what the proceeds of this are for, Jack?
No, we're actually we're going to be helping Feeding Tampa Bay, and we are also going to be using some of the proceeds to help the Lakeland Police Department with some more AEDs and some batteries.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. That's I think this is the 3rd year in a row for you guys to be taking this on, so we appreciate you. Thank you. Dues, and more dues. We've lost a few members. I think we're down to about 194, and so, but we have 19 people that haven't paid their dues. So if you're in that list, we're coming after you. Please, please, please pay your dues. We've already got everybody that was set up as of July 1 in Rotary International. We're paying dues for that too. So let's make sure we get those dues caught up, please. All right, we're going to move on to the program unless somebody else had an announcement they wanted to make. Great. Heidi Waldron is going to be making the announcement today. Heidi, as you heard from last week probably, Heidi is the Director of Development for Bonnet Springs Park. She's almost a 1-year Rotarian, which means she's sticking it out for the long haul. We just know it. We're happy to have her here, and she's doing a great job at Bonnet Springs Park. So she's going to announce our program today. Heidi, please take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to introduce Kerry Falwell. She's actually also a classmate of Leadership Lakeland Class 38. So we're very excited to have her. I'm excited to lead with her. I'm just going to read her a brief introduction, and then I'm just going to go ahead and let her take it away because she's got really amazing news about the upcoming project of Explorations 5 Children's Museum at Bonnet Springs Park. And I'm sure everyone's really excited to hear about it. A little bit about Kerry is that she is the CEO of Explorations 5 since 2017. Prior to joining Explorations, she was the Director of Education at Glazer Children's Museum in Tampa, if any of you are familiar with that. Her work in designing the Children's Museum experiences was awarded the inaugural Diversity and Inclusion Award from the State of Florida's Division of Cultural Affairs, which is a huge accomplishment. If you've ever had to go through that process, it's actually really amazing. So congratulations to Kerry. And she was also named an outstanding advocate by the Florida Association of Education of Young Children. Kerry holds a BA in flute performance. Yay, orchestral. And an MA in the arts administration. And she's also a graduate certificate holder in infant mental health. Kerry is married to Calvin, who is a professional musician, and they have a wonderful 8-year-old son named Zachary. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let Kerry take it over and share her screen and tell us all about what's going on at Explorations 5.
Thank you, Heidi. That was a very generous introduction. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm always honored anytime I get to speak to Rotarians, and I'm just so appreciative of how supportive Rotary is of Lakeland and your club in particular. It's always a very big honor. So I will share my screen, and I tend to talk very quickly. So if I need to slow down, please just tell me. And I'm told that Amanda will help me monitor questions. So don't be shy. There are all good questions. And I thought we would start with, usually like when we're in a big room, I usually say, raise your hand if you've ever been to Explorations 5. But there's so many of you, I can't see you all on the screen, which is a great thing to have. So I'm going to start by assuming there's a few people who have either never been or maybe aren't as familiar. So I'm just going to do a touch of our history. I have a lot of people asking me what we're doing during COVID and during the pandemic, so I'm going to touch on what we've been doing there. And then you guys are actually the first public group to get a sneak peek at the new exhibit collection. So our exhibit committee meets weekly with the designers. My board has seen it. The Bonnet Springs Park board will see it, and then we'll be able to show more renderings. But you guys are the first public group to see any kind of exhibit layout or name. So consider yourself very, very lucky. I think it's a big deal. Okay, so this is us. That is my 8-year-old son, although he's like 6 in this picture building, and it's just nice for me to be able to see him. When I do these things, it kind of helps calm any nerves I have if I get to see his beautiful picture. So a theme you're going to hear me say a lot is that we're not building a bigger building, we're building a bigger purpose. So when we talk about the intentionality around the design and why we're moving, know that it's not because we don't appreciate the space that we're in. We think the Crest building is lovely, and we worked very, very hard. The people that came before me worked very, very hard to purchase this building and build it out into the beautiful children's museum it is now. But in order for us to meet the needs of our growing community, we have to also build a bigger purpose, which in this particular case means building a bigger building. Our mission is curating the world for all children to explore. We are, I'm just going to turn something off behind me. We are in the process of a year-long strategic plan planning session. Our current strategic plan sunsets in December of 2020. And the first part of our strategic planning process was to look at the very cornerstone of what we are and how we serve the community, which is our mission. So this mission statement is hot off the press. It was enacted by our board of directors about 2 months ago, and every word is very, very intentional. You're going to hear that come up a lot about the intentionality in the planning process. And I could talk an hour just on the mission statement, but I know I don't have that much time, so I'm gonna keep going. For those not familiar with the Children's Museum, we opened in 1991. Krista Yurchak was an active community member, and her husband owned some Chick-fil-A's in town. They've since moved to Orlando. She put an ad in the Lakeland Ledger, and a group of parents showed up at the library. And that same year, they filed their 501c3 paperwork and opened a storefront, which is now the Pita Pit on Kentucky Ave in downtown Lakeland. So that was our first. In 1998, we purchased the Crest building from the county, and in 1999, we moved in. In around 2001, although the swans didn't go out until 2002, we worked with Swan Station. So all of those beautiful swans that you see decorated around town, those were a huge fundraiser for the museum. And there were a few other beneficiary nonprofits, but that was a big deal for us. And it was really the first major campaign that we helped take on. In 2007, we were awarded our first United Way of Central Florida grant, and the reason that's such a big part of our history is because it was the first time there was intentional connection between arts education and social service. So now we're saying there's a true correlation between the immersive learning environments in arts education and a child's ability to be ready for kindergarten and for their families to be more stable. So we've been doing that since then to great success. In 2012, we were named to the Mayor's Council on the Arts. That was the year that the resolution went through, and we've been on that council ever since. It's a great honor. In 2015, we hit our first million visitors served. Since then, it's been about 1.6 million. In 2017, we were named the Anchor Institution at Bonnet Springs Park, and in 2018, we won our first federal grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Those are incredibly competitive, and that's such a big part of our story because it's the first time that we were recognized on the national stage, where a major investment was made in Lakeland in your children's museum by the federal government. So the last 6 months, have been very interesting. I will say that the staff I knew they were resilient and I knew they were strong, and that was put to the test, and they have exceeded any expectation anyone would have had on them. So we closed to the public March 14th, that same day that Polk County Schools announced that they were going to close. And by March 20th, DCF, the Department of Children and Families, called us and asked us if we could help provide emergency childcare for children of essential workers at Lakeland Regional. We agreed and took what the DCF and CDC both needed us to do to keep children safe. And we talked to our staff, and we served, very bluntly said, is this something you're comfortable doing? Is this something you want to do? These are the precautions that were being recommended to take. And every single educator said, yes, absolutely, we want to do our part, 100%. And by March 24th, we were providing emergency day camps for children of essential workers at both Lakeland Regional Hospital and the city of Lakeland. So we were awarded a United Community Relief Grant in that first round. And so we were able to provide 71 scholarships to those emergency day camps for children of these essential workers. And then our day camps swung right into our summer camp program. We were able to take what we learned in those emergency day camps, working very closely with DCF and CDC, and modify our summer camp program to be incredibly successful, just like it has been every other year. For those of you that don't know, our summer camp program is language and literacy based. So we take children with documented delays and we get them ready for their next school year by advancing their language skills. It's great. in April, we're still closed. And we realized that, all of the community events are being closed. Our own children's festival had to be canceled. So we turned to our partners in early childhood, and the Early Learning Coalition of Polk County, United Way of Central Florida, and Polk State College donated books to us, and families could request a book, and free of charge, we were able to get 1,000 books to children who had lost access to their school library across the county. And then we pivoted our public program. So there is admission to get in, but once you're in the building, we try to make things as free as possible. And we're a nonprofit, so that's really important to us. So we moved all of our public programming that you would normally get for free to a digital platform, and most of it being streamed or posted on social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. We produced 33 digital content programs that when I made this presentation, they were seen by over 2,400 viewers, which is probably double that because it's usually a parent who's operating the video and then their child is doing the video with them. But those numbers continue to rise because people continue to keep finding them online. Questions about our COVID response before I go on? Great.
I'm not seeing any.
Great. I will say that we are making plans for our full reopen. It will be in early September. We sent a teaser email out about it today, but everything that we're doing around COVID in our public and educational responses is all framed around safety and kindness. So everything you see from us, we're going to look through both of those lenses. How is this going to be safe, and how are we going to use this as an opportunity to teach children kindness? So our bigger purpose. So like I said, we really enjoy being in the Crest building. Here we see about 55, in a normal year, not during a COVID year, but in a normal year we see anywhere between 50 and 55,000 visitors on site. We see another 100,000 people through outreach programs. And all of this is to engage children in critical thinking and brain development in ways that they don't get anywhere else. So when we looked around our environments and we were looking at the needs of our community, it was pretty clear we haven't moved the needle very much on our kindergarten readiness. So what happens is more than 50% of children who enter kindergarten classroom are not on level. So an example of what that means is they can't count to 20, they can't differentiate a number from a letter, and they can't look at a word, not have to read it, but they can't look at a sentence and tell you which one is the longest word. That's just a few examples of something that might be in a kindergarten readiness assessment. So every other child walking into a classroom can't achieve those things. So what that does is snowballs into 60% of fourth graders not being proficient and upwards of 70% of eighth graders not being proficient. So if you don't catch it early, it just continues to escalate. So we needed to partner with the schools. You can imagine with our facility on Kentucky Avenue, we can't really get a school bus. Field trips are very hard to unload and load there. You can't have very many students. So we wanted to build a facility that could be productive and useful, not just for families, but for our school partners as well. So if you can understand the lens that we're looking in, this is a very 10,000 foot view of what we're looking at, but this will get you started. So our bigger purpose is 4 buckets. One is to redefine 21st century learning. 21st century learning is a buzzword in our field. Lots of people talk about it, but we really want to know what that means. So we're defining something that we call the rubber band theory, and it has to do with how a child engages in content and being able to build an immersive learning environment where a child can walk in and stretch it just like you would stretch a rubber band to meet their needs, not just their intellectual or cognitive needs, but their creativity skills or their comfort with creativity and imagination and their physical presence. How low down are they in the experience? How high up are they in the experience? And then how are we engaging the grown-ups in their sidelines so that they can continue the engagement with the younger child in the same space. So we really have to engage the grown-up that they're with as much as we are engaging the child, because ultimately they're the ones who can establish more growth in the space for the child. The second is we want to provide a resource that strengthens families. And I really should have written to strengthen all families since we updated our mission statement. But we want to continue learning from our community what families feel disenfranchised, what families need to feel less stress in their home. How can we help families understand brain development and milestones, or milestones that you don't really need to worry about. I think that kind of perspective, the things that you would have typically learned from your mother and your grandmother, but we don't live in those kinds of societies anymore. We move away, we go to the job, or we go to the university. And so you don't have that same village of support systems where you could have these really open and honest conversations. My generation and generations younger than me don't have those villages of older women informing us for these things. So we turn to the internet, and we turn to mom groups, and then you get really scared. So we want to be that village for families, and we want to really strengthen them. We want to support research that studies how children learn and how families achieve together. This is a big part of that federal grant that we received and our partnership with Family Fundamentals at United Way of Central Florida. We're really looking at self-regulation in children, and if you can combine trauma-informed care with arts education and what that does. A really great example of this, very, very simple general example of this, is we've had children in our building for 6 months, many of whom are children of essential workers. And so they hear all this scary stuff going on about COVID, and they know that their parent is going to work and they're interacting with COVID patients or some, probably the worst case scenario. So the kids are doing exactly what they need to be doing. We've created these learning environments that mimic a community on our first floor, at least. And instead of, usually someone puts on the sheriff costume and then someone goes and robs the Publix, and they have to go and make the robber stop robbing Publix. And that's really how they're working out the ideas of good and evil. But for the last 6 months, the villain in their play has become COVID. So they're going to band together, and they've made up these superheroes. They're going to go attack COVID, and they're like, "Arr!" Right? But they're working through all of that fear and anxiety exactly the way they should be. They're creating a filter to overcome, and then you let that play go out, and then they're going to be able to sit down and do an art activity or a sensory activity because they've gotten that feeling out, and they've kind of made sense of it through their play. So it's really important. So what we started doing is really simple. We started taking audio recordings of their play using COVID, and now we're turning those audio recordings into training so that we can talk to other early childhood care professionals about maybe your transition time from centers is not so important if you hear this play going, because they really need to work through this. Or how can you, in your own teaching, infuse COVID as this point of self-regulation and emotional regulation? It's really interesting, right? So that's just a very, very easy, quick example of how we can do that. And 4 is we want to create a community of curious explorers. So this goes beyond what happens inside the museum walls, but we want to make sure that all of you grown-ups who may not have children of age of the museum, or don't have children, or whatever your case may be, we want to make sure that the grown-ups that are not interacting in the museum understand the benefits of curiosity and exploration. We want to make sure that that you can make that part of your value. We can make sure that that's part of how you work in your business, because ultimately innovation and creativity in the business place comes from curiosity and exploration. So if we're infusing that in our younger kids, then we want to make sure that this is the community culture, and it's something that we can all put our arms around, because it's going to work just as well for you grown-ups as it will for us adults. So that's our bigger purpose. And how we're going to work to achieve that is inside this building. That bird is the placeholder, but the building was designed to be a work of art, to be a blank canvas. So it is an all-white building, and we'll do a call for artists at some point. And there will be a beautiful mural on the top of the building so that the building itself is a work of art. Okay, the galleries. So for the first time in our museum's history, we contracted a professional exhibit design firm to design, fabricate, and install all of our permanent exhibits. This is a huge deal. This is what makes a museum really look professional and give you that wow factor. So there are 5 galleries that our design firm, Gyroscope, which is out of California, is designing. And then there's 2 spaces that don't require permanent exhibits. So over here, the first floor, this is the main doors. There's 1 entrance and exit. That's on purpose. That's so that, and it's angled kind of towards the great lawn and the cafe. To give you some perspective, this is the front of the building and the parking lot is down here. There's a cafe over here. And then the great lawn is to our back. And there's a hill on the side of our building. So little kids who are runners, if they run out the front doors, there's only one place they can run. And when they run, they're going to run into a big planter or to a building. They're not going to run into the parking lot. So that's why those doors are positioned the way they are. So you walk in, there's a double height atrium. There's a gallery here. This is the ticket counter, restrooms and vending machines. There's a gallery here. We'll get to what this space is because it's very special. Restrooms here. Back of house, storage, loading dock, janitorial, security. And then this space here is Family Fundamentals. So the United Way of Central Florida storefront, Family Fundamentals, is coming with us. We're going to continue sharing a preschool classroom that they'll operate in the morning and will operate in the afternoon and in the summers. And then this is our gallery storage. And the second, I know I'm talking really, really fast, so I'm just going to pause and say my contact information is on the last slide, and we can go through this in much more detail. This is my favorite thing in the whole world to talk about. So you just write down my info, and we can go through it in much more detail because I know I'm talking fast. The second floor here has 2 permanent galleries, City Play, which is what you're all going to expect of us, but really modern twist, and then TBD Gallery. This is a double height atrium space. This is the administrative offices. This is a huge bank of restrooms. This is the second elevator, and then our classrooms, which we'll get to in a second. So that'll kind of give you some bearings of what you're looking at. Watermelon seeds. So this is on the first floor. It is it's the 3rd largest gallery. This is dedicated for kids 6 and under. Right now, for our little itty bitties, we have 1 gallery dedicated specifically to them, and Watermelon Seeds is 15 times the size. And we made that choice because 65 to 70% of our child attendance is under the age of 6, and yet it's the space that we dedicate the least intentional space for. So this was a really intentional move to say this is just for the little guys. We're going to increase our infant space tenfold. We're gonna really explore what it is that happens in the 2s and 3s. We're gonna promote those sensory experiences for the toddlers. This is really gonna be an important part of our plan. The other thing is our school groups won't be able to visit this space. So when you do have a 2-year-old and you're there on a Tuesday morning and we have 300 first graders come for a field trip, this is going to be where you're going to go, and there will be a program in there, but the field trip students can't go there. So Watermelon Seeds. Watermelon Seeds was inspired by the growth of a watermelon. It's an emerging crop in our agriculture field. It's part of the future of Central Florida. And a child grows very similarly to the way a watermelon grows. So they're an infant, so they're a seed, and then how you plant your seed, it's, what type of nutrient is in the soil, how much sunshine are they getting, what kind of water are you giving to nourish them. All of those things determine how your fruit grows. The other really neat thing that happens is that once your watermelon comes to, no 2 watermelon are the same size. They're not all the same shape. They're not all symmetrical. They're not all as sweet. Some of them are a little tart. They all are unique in their own way. So we're really telling the story of growth and individuality and owning your differences as a good thing. So the seed pod here is just for infants. Lots of contrasting colors. Infants don't develop distinguishing colors until 9-ish, 10-ish months. It's a little, I mean, they can't tell us. So, science is. But so we're going to work really a lot of black and whites there. A lot of crawling things, lots of really interesting things up on the ceiling for ones that are on their backs. You're going to take your shoes off. There's a gate. You can't get in there. This is just for the infants. The sensory grove is for our kiddos that are starting to plant some roots, right? So your roots start to grow. You're starting to feel around in the dirt a little bit. And these are our touchers. These are our 12-month to 3-year-olds. They're still putting everything in their mouth. They're wobbling when they walk, and then they're starting to learn how to run. So the sensory grove is giving them that opportunity to do all those things. This thing in the back is like a submerged water mattress is the best way to describe it. So it'll be like they're walking on a lake bed. So that's really cool. It's going to be a great balance activity for our early and established walkers. It's going to be really cool. Then we have sprouts, which is over here. So this is your 3s and 4s. This is when they're really starting to understand, if I put this thing here, then it's going to do this thing. We're telling lots of really interesting stories here. There's floor to ceiling sunflowers. So we're telling the story of pollination. And so kids are able to take the pollen out of the sunflowers and move them to the ground or to another sunflower. The sunflowers are also at the grown-ups' height, so grown-ups are engaged in the activity. And then those brown things in the bottom are they're able to plant and harvest strawberries, blueberries, and watermelons. The structure in the corner is a giant oversized strawberry, and that's where costuming and mirrors are. Climb the Vine is our intro to gross motor and risk-taking. So it's a climbing structure, and you follow the growth pattern of a watermelon. It's really safe, but it's great for those kids who like to climb and take some more risks. And there's a advanced climbing structure outside. There may be some parents who aren't ready for their 2s and 3s to enter Blinky the alligator. This is going to be your spot to practice that. It's indoors. The big kids can't get to it. So that's really for you guys. And then the programming area here, it's our big orange slice. That's where we're going to do our pre-kindergarten and early literacy programs, our tried and true, our book buddies, our curious kids, but also United Way will have access to that space so they can incorporate some more public programming through their Family Fundamentals storefront. So, Design Park. This is for older kids. This is in the lobby. This is all about design thinking and taking failure out of your fear factor. We want failure as part of the design process. We want iteration. We want you to try something over and over again. Design, I'm going to start talking a lot faster. So Design Park is for 5 and up. We're going to go as high as 12, and then probably have some middle school programs where you can also go into our wood shop and use real tools. Our wood shop is open to the public. It's just down a corridor. Then this is tinkering. This is small parts, and think Legos on steroids. Think little motors. Think solar panels. Think what that day's design challenge is. There's going to be lots of loose parts. There's going to be lots of iteration. And you'll be able to test things both on air and on road. So you'll be able to design 2 types of moving vehicles if you want, or you can just tinker on your own and make something that you want. There's a big design bench that looks almost like a drafting table, and with some funky lights, you can really get in there, some magnifying glasses. So kids are tinkerers, our Lego kids. They're gonna have the best time in this space. This double height atrium, this is the Junior League of Greater Lakeland atrium, and there's a public art piece. It's called the Cloud Lake. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a giant hanging cloud, and then there's air cannons both on the first level and on the second level at this railing. And so you're able to activate the cloud and make it go. It's really cool. The front yard, this is the largest gallery. When we started surveying people 2 years ago, overwhelmingly they said, we want children's museum experiences outside. We want it, we want it, we want it. We want kids to be in the dirt. We want them to grow food. We want them to feel mud. We want them to do it was hands down when you look at our surveying. So this is almost 8,000 square feet. It's by far the largest gallery, and they're getting, it's over the top. Blinky, if you don't know the story of Blinky, he was an alligator that lived in the lake behind us. He had one eye. He had a tragic death, but he had a lovely life in Lakeland. And and he is coming back to play with all of the children. He is a 100-foot long, 17-foot tall play structure. He has netting on the inside for climbing. He has his tail is a giant slide. We're using found materials as much as we can to talk about the conservation of the park and the trash that's been removed. So the scales on his back are traffic cones. We're trying to do some interesting things with reclaimed water bottles. The lily pads that you see kind of sprinkled throughout, those are shade structures. So there, lots of interesting time of day things to see how much shade is being produced, but it's all there. There's lots of picnic benches. There's planters. We'll have seasonal year-round herbs. We'll have a mobile teaching kitchen so we can harvest things and wash them and cut them, and kids can participate in all of that as things are ready to harvest. And then the mosaic dig pit is in the corner. There's a little bit of water, like a tiny little stream, and sand. And so you can really start to talk about erosion. You can start to talk about Florida under our feet. There'll be some hidden fossils in the bottom. There'll be funnels and all the really great ways that you want kids to play with sand and water. And there is a cleaning station. You take your shoes off, and then there's like a little shower thing, a series of them, and then a blower thing so you can wash off your hands and feet and go dry off your things and head out for the rest of your time. So there's other things in that space, but okay. City play is what everyone expects of us. This is our social dramatic play area. This is what you see on our first floor, but we have reimagined it. So we really wanted to talk about open spaces. We wanted things that could be easily moved. We wanted a very modern space. So far, the things that we have identified in City Play is, I should say this, we really wanted to accomplish two things. We wanted to talk about commerce and how things interconnect with each other. And we wanted to provide grownups an opportunity to play along. So one of the things that drives me bonkers is that you see a child leave the fire truck and they're in their firefighter's outfit and they go to Publix and they're going to go, no, Johnny, wait, no. You got to take off your fire costume before you go to Publix. You have to leave it there. And if I'm there, I go, the firefighters have to eat too. Let's go feed them, right? And then we get them over there. It's a ton of fun. So if you put the costumes in an area, then us rule-following type A grown-ups are going to think you have to leave that costume there because this is where it goes. So I've said, no. The costumes are going to be at the entrances, and if you want to be a ballerina clown firefighter, then that's your role, and you do you, kid, and go live your best life. Because you still have to go to the grocery store, and you still have to take the groceries home, and you still have to go check the weather, and then you want to go to the food truck rally. So all of those things are happening, and we want kids to understand the connectiveness of the community, not necessarily just a role in the community. So right now we have a co-op farm, we have large animal vet, we have a home, we have a Publix, we have a park, we have a food truck, we have a hospital, fire stations, sheriff's office, and weather on the streets. So not all of these are necessarily set in stone because of course sponsorships have to help us pay for these things. So if we need to swap out one piece that isn't sponsored and we can find something else equally as meaningful, then we will. But this is definitely where we want to go. And it's about connecting things. So whereas watermelon seeds has agriculture as a component, that's literally how things grow. This farm concept, I just want to differentiate these quickly, is food as a commodity. So that's how things are differentiated. So that's city planning. And then TBD, this gallery, it may actually be called To Be Determined, but it was a working title. This area is for older kids. So although little kids will like it too, but you can do some more advanced things in it. But this is about storytelling through introspective and extrospective activities. So there's lots of music, there's lots of digital video, there's stop motion animation. So, and you can kind of see there, the green screen landscape is like a CGI studio. So costuming and backdrops that are inverted on there, a drum pad machine. This thing in the corner is really cool. So as the kids dance and jump on these lit up boxes, the frequency of the speaker talks to these light things that hang over the double height atrium. So then it becomes a light show into the lobby. So when you're waiting in line, you can look up and see this light show that's being activated by kids on the drum pad. But it's about sound both in found ways, so non-traditional instruments and traditional instruments. It's about digital sound. It's about the feeling of bass and the feeling of sound frequency. And then it's about storytelling with your body and your own life experiences in an extroverted way, like if you wanted to put on a whole green screen digital performance, and an introverted way if you wanted to do something by yourself with the stop motion and be able to entertain yourself that way. So when we did 3 days of focus groups, and some of the focus group participants had their kids in there, and the 12-year-olds were so excited about this. So a lot of pressure to get it right because we want to make sure those 12-year-olds are happy. We will have a black box theater. This is on the first floor. This is not part of the exhibit design, but it is a space that's there. We'll be able to host traveling exhibits for the first time in this scale. They'll have a dedicated space to go. We'll be able to do live performances, right? So we'll contract, for an example, we know that Florida Dance Theater will be an artist in residence at some point early on in our opening, and they'll do 15-minute short ballets to introduce kids to live ballet. That sort of thing is really important. It can be used as one large room. It can be broken up and used as 2 medium-sized rooms. We know that we're going to do teacher professional development trainings in there in a post-COVID world, or spread out, very socially distanced. And then we'll use it for special events. So Rotary could come and have a luncheon here. We'd have more than enough room to host you. We'll be able to have our own fundraisers here. We won't have to rent space or go outside of those places. So really, really excited about having this space and having so much functionality in it. And then our classrooms, there are 2 of them. They're on the second floor. This one is our teaching kitchen. So if you don't know this about us, we cook every week with kids when we're able to. And this one has a full teaching kitchen. So right now we have to roll in toaster ovens and blenders and mixers and microwaves, and we're literally taking them out of the break room and putting them on a cart and rolling them into the classroom. But here we'll have an actual kitchen with 2 ovens, a really big refrigerator, plenty of cleanup space, a dishwasher. Can we say amen for a dishwasher? That's going to be super exciting. And again, it can be used as one larger room, or it can be closed off into 2 medium-sized rooms. Not as big as the Black Box Theater, but bigger than the classrooms that we have now. All of this is being planned by our fabulous exhibit committee. If you see any of them, they are exhausted and probably need chocolate and coffee. It's Brad Lunds, Craig Spurlock, Eddie Kleisler, Jason Rada, Jeff Sandman, Joe Locke, myself, Blaine Hickey Wiggins, and Layla Cribb. And I invite you to join our community of curious explorers. Did I talk fast enough?
You did, Kerry. So I'm going to, I think we are going to have just a few minutes, and President Joel will cut us off when he wants us to stop. But I'm going to start with sharing with you a collection of wonderful compliments that have come through on the chat box. From Mayor Mutz, Kerry is such a comprehensive leader. She exhibits the patience to expand methodically, practically, and purposefully to enhance understanding for our very blessed youth. And President Joel Ivy said that Kerry is perfect for this role, which was seconded by Mike Loudon. And Kim Brunson from Public Supermarkets shared that Lakeland is blessed to have Explorations 5 and Kerry. Thank you for your great work. Other compliments about the museum itself, a great job and how well thought out it is. So we appreciated you speaking today for sure. 2 questions. First is from Cynthia Happy, and she is asking, what are the plans for the building on Kentucky after you move?
So we own the building, and part of our capital campaign is to sell it.
Okay. The next question is from Gwen Allen, and she wants to know if you are taking ideas for the TBD gallery, or do you already have some options on the table that you're considering?
Absolutely. Send it my way. You got my email right there. So I'll say that we are at the 50% design mark, and that means that we're only halfway through the process. So now is a really good time to put your feedback in. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. That's it. That's what I have.
That's it. Easy peasy.
You did a great job. That's why that was it.
I don't know. I talk really fast, and you guys are really kind. It's I don't take compliments very well, so I don't ever know how to respond to them. But the museum is a phenomenal place, and I came here because of the joy that it brings people and how clear that is. And you can just, it's the greatest staff. It's the greatest opportunity that I've ever been given and my family's ever been given. So I just want to share that and make sure that every family has that same opportunity.
Kerry, thank you so much. We're so glad that you're here and you took the time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. I've got this highly sought after book. It's got the Lakeland Rotary Club insignia on it. You can use it for notes and whatnot. I will find a way to get it to you. I will hunt you down. I will hunt you down. So
I'm easy to find.
Yep.
I'll stop sharing my screen now.
And you're doing a great job up there. You're obviously the right person for this job. So thank you for that.
No, thank you.
We are going to move to the conclusion of the program. Trey, can you go through our guests and visiting Rotarians, please?
Sure. I'd like to thank our guests and soon-to-be members, Jeremy Maccabee and Deborah Boynton, and our visiting Rotarians, Doug McCall and Tina Whitty. And thank you all for coming.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Guests and visiting Rotarians, thank you so much for coming back. For those that attended Rotary information, there's hope. We're going to get you through stars, and we're going to get you in this club. Our weekly quote: "The mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size." That's from Albert Einstein. Next week's program is going to be Shannon Shep. She's going to give us an update from the Department of Citrus. And absent any protests, we're going to call this meeting adjourned. Thank you all. It's great to see you.